is the Business of Reselling podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Oman. All right, welcome to the Business of Reselling podcast. This is episode 0. Why in episode 0? Well, I have some housekeeping details I want to share with you. I need to introduce you to myself, tell you a little bit about what the podcast is going to be about, why I started it, and what the format is going to be. And I want to make sure that our first official episode is nothing but solid, great educational content for resellers. So I thought an episode 0 would be a great way to just sort of introduce you to what this podcast is all about. So I'll just be giving you an introduction to myself, and this will allow me to tell you why I wanted to start a podcast and what the format of this podcast is likely to be. So a little bit about me. I'm Jess. I'm your host, The Business of Reselling, and I'm the co-owner of a Canadian small business called Storage Warrior Vintage and Modern Goods. So Storage Warrior has been around for a few years. We're an online reselling business, and we primarily sell our stock through eBay. We also use other platforms like Etsy and Poshmark, and we also do some local sales. We're a recognized business. eBay recognized us in 2019 as their micro multinational of the year, entrepreneur of the year. That was for eBay Canada. And we were also inducted into eBay's 25th anniversary Hall of Fame in 2020. So we've been around for a bit, and we have a lot of stories about reselling. And if you're a reseller, which is who this podcast is geared for, you probably have a lot of great stories as well. Whether those are amazing hauls from the thrift store, incredible things that you pulled out of the garbage and sold for more money, or just the fun and quirky characters that you meet along your journey of reselling. People have always loved hearing our stories, and I'm sure they love hearing yours as well. And we have a lot of them as we've been doing this for a few years. I really enjoy helping other people with their businesses. As a former startup consultant myself, I used to work with a lot of new companies that were looking for loans and financing to start their businesses. And I did that for a few years after completing my MBA back in 2009. So it just feels like sort of a natural fit to share my journey with you and to share content that's going to help other people in the reselling arena. So a little bit about me. So I already mentioned I do have a master's in business that I achieved in 2009 and a couple of other degrees before that. My background before I got into reselling was in academic administration. So I worked at colleges and universities, everything from an instructor, professor, an administrative assistant, up to the level of associate dean. So that was kind of my world up until I started my startup consulting business right around the end of 2010, which kind of started out as like a writing company and evolved into lots of startup coaching and consulting. So I've got that business background, really enjoyed doing it. And I've got that teacher background as well, having been an instructor for a few years. So that's kind of what I'm hoping to bring into this podcast, is that sort of educational content to help you grow your business or just tighten it up and make it stronger and better, even if growth is not specifically one of your goals. So those are kind of some of the reasons why I was interested in starting this podcast. And a lot of people have asked me and my husband as well to sort of find a platform where we could share our experiences and our stories with other people on a regular basis. Lots of folks over the years have said that they're interested in that. And so the podcast format ended up sort of being settled on as sort of the best way to begin to share that with you. And there are lots of good podcasts and YouTube shows out there for resellers that are entertaining and educational. And I'm hoping to kind of slide in where I feel like there's a little bit of a gap in content that appeals to resellers. So there's lots of stuff out there where people share their haul posts, their thrifting escapades, their sales reports, and all of those things are great insight into the life of a reseller. And I will most likely be sharing some of those things with you as well. What I feel sometimes is missing is something a little more high level, something more strategic. Maybe not a podcast or a show that glamorizes reselling, although it definitely has its glamorous moments, although we all know it has its super not glamorous moments as well, but something that explores both the upside and the downside of reselling, the hard decisions that you have to make, convincing other people that what you're doing is a real business. I'm sure so many of you have had this experience where people didn't see what you were doing in reselling as something viable or sustainable or even like real work. So these are sort of some of the conflicts that we get into in this business that are sort of unique to what we do. So I want to explore that, these hard decisions, the good, the bad, and the ugly, just sort of all angles of a reselling business, to give you sort of that big picture understanding of how it works and to help you focus and clarify your own goals for what you're doing. So I like to think long term about what I want this business to do for me. And my goal, one of my goals, is to figure out how to sell $1 million worth of vintage and collectibles in a year. We've gotten about halfway there. And so I feel like we're on a really good trajectory, but that 7-figure mark seems elusive to me. So sort of part of this podcast is going to be me sort of sharing that journey, figuring out if it's possible, figuring out what I have to do to get there. And in the meantime, sharing those sort of experiences and conflicts and dilemmas and decision-making processes that hopefully are also going to help you with whatever you're trying to achieve in your business. So of course, we're all in different places on our reselling journey. I'm looking to figure out how to sell $1 million. You might be looking for your first $10,000 month or your first 6-figure year, or maybe you're way ahead of me and you're looking for your first $10 million year. Whatever it is, there are going to be parallels in the kinds of things that we have to make decisions about and consider. So I want to go on that journey with you. So as far as the format of the podcast, to start, we're going to be doing episodes every 2 weeks that are about 30 minutes, so something pretty digestible. And then in between, so also every 2 weeks, but alternating, we will have much shorter episodes that are sort of called Just the Tip. So these will be about 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes maximum. And those will be alternating between the longer episodes. And in Just the Tip episodes, it'll be something like something actionable that I'll be talking about, something you could try or experiment with in your business. And then I'm always going to ask you to tell me whether it worked for you. So I'll ask you to respond by email or on social, whether you did the tip that I suggested and how it worked for you, because I'm always interested in your experiences. In fact, in every episode, even the long ones, I'll most likely have some kind of call to action, something that you can apply right away to help grow or strengthen your business. And in those longer episodes, I'll do a deep dive into a specific reselling topic. So it could be something to do with sourcing. It could be something to do with shipping. It could be some kind of ethical or moral or business dilemma I've been exploring. Or it might be something really timely, like, say, the potential impact of a new change to eBay or something like that. So that'll be more a specific topic that we get really deep into. So that's a little bit about how I envision the podcast format. But as always, your feedback is going to be really important to me. So I want to hear whether the length of the episodes is working for you, if there's specific topics you want me to explore, or if there's specific ways that you would like me to share content. I'm definitely interested in bringing on guests. So hopefully we'll have some interview episodes. We might do some video episodes. I do want to give this some variety, so it's not just me talking every week. And I want to make sure that you're learning what you want to. So that brings me to today's call to action. I want you to email me or hit me up on Instagram and tell me what topic you'd like me to do a podcast episode on. I have lots of ideas already, but I want to give you the content you want, so I need to know what you want to learn. So send me an email. The email address is hello@storagewarrior.ca. That's hello@storagewarrior.ca. Or on Instagram, it's @storage_warrior. And you should be able to find that information in the show notes as well. So let me know, what kind of topics do you want me to do a podcast episode on? What are some things that you're really interested in hearing a deep dive on that you haven't learned from other reseller podcasts or shows that you might listen to? All right, so that's it for episode 0. Remember to follow us on Instagram @storage_warrior and sign up to our email list as well. That's at businessofreselling.com so that you never miss an episode. Until next time.